Hello everyone, welcome to my Manufacturers Cup. But before this screen goes, who have I picked? Peugeot, which was probably pretty obvious to be honest, because I race for Peugeot most of the time at the moment in GT Sport, mainly because I love the Group 3 car. The Group 4 car in shot now, I don't really like, to be honest. It's Group 4 as a class is completely unbalanced and impossible to balance. So in the Manufacturers Cup, I'm only going to focus on Group 3 and only race Group 4 where I have to. As you've seen in some recent ones with Dragon Trail, you just can't keep up. The minute the tyres go off, which they go off so quick with a front wheel drive car, that's it, it's game over. And the only way to balance it is to give us so much power to compensate for that, which again is not possible, because then how do people overtake? So the Manufacturers Cup, obviously when you join, you get this lovely screen and craziness, and when GT Sport go all out, or when Gran Turismo go out, Polyphony Digital, they go all out. So you get this video for every single race of Manufacturers Cup that you do, or Nations Cup that you do. Now we're starting off with Manufacturers Cup, so one thing I will say before this race starts is that I was very frustrated before I even started this race, mainly because of what happened in Nations Cup, and I'll leave that for the Nations Cup highlight video. And the reason for the highlight video as well, so we're going to cover this all in one, obviously there's only 2 Group 3 races, so I've combined them, is I'm trying to just catch up on content. There's so many races I've done, and I can't bring them to the channel fast enough, because I work, and obviously I want to race as well. Yeah, it's just going to be a highlight video. I'll bring some of the races that are extremely good fun. I will bring them in their own videos for the next season, Season 2. But Season 1 is highlights. So as you see, we're qualified in 4th place in the Peugeot, so it's not a bad car in Group 3. It really isn't. We used to get a buff of 1% power, so, you know, that's helped it a little bit. We're still not in the 57s where we were at Suzuka, when the RCZ was literally one of the go-to cars. But even so, it's helped us a little bit. And of course, we've got the BOP test coming up for the RCZ. Potentially this week, otherwise it'll be Monday next week, or Tuesday, sorry. In terms of videos, by the way, I'm sort of going to go for, try and make sure there's videos for Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday, I think it is. Or Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, I think it was. I don't want to be doing videos on race days, basically. I want to focus on the race. But we've also got the potential of streams coming as well to the channel, so I'll explain that in a little bit. But first off, the Manufacturers Cup. So we start with Suzuka. We've got a 12-lap race here at Suzuka. Starting in 4th place, you can see some of the guys ahead of us, Rick, Giorgio, for some of the really fast guys. We've got Ed behind us, who we had a good race with at the Nürburgring special event. We've got Jamie in there as well. Manu Rodriguez just overtaken Slent. Slent's in the NSX, I think he is, and Manu Rodriguez in the Nissan. Obviously Nissan are holding that competition, so expect a lot of the fast drivers in there. Actually, Favoras just whacked on his hazard. I think that was just to say sorry for braking so early. Fair enough for us. That's fair play. Obviously, I'm in a really good group of guys here in terms of racing. I can't see anybody on that screen on the left who I would worry about being a dirty driver in the slightest. If this contact is just a pure mistake, and everyone makes mistakes. But we continue racing. Lap number 1. I say it's going to be the highlight, so we're going to go through this first race and then we go straight to the last round, and we'll go through that race as well and find out where we came. And also a request that I have for everybody, especially in the American region, or the Americas region. But we'll get back to that shortly. So as you can see, Favoras is putting on a lot of pressure on Giorgio. Giorgio in the Ford Mustang. We've recently done the BOP test in that. That's an interesting car. But we've advanced a little bit further on in the race now, and still same old, same old. Rick is really pushing out that lead there. I think Rick's in the Porsche. As we continue on, you just see Giorgio off on the right. And Favoras gets out of the way, so we can see Giorgio's lagging a bit. I'm not sure why, because Giorgio has got 4 bars on the left-hand side. So, you know, Favoras is just trying to stay out of the way, not get caught, like, don't get crashed because of the disconnect. So as you see, Giorgio's really slowed up. So Favoras is having to avoid him. Giorgio's suddenly going 200 miles an hour on the gravel. But unfortunately for Giorgio, he's disconnected. And I was really worried at this point that Giorgio was suddenly going to fling past everybody, annihilate everybody, and come back on the circuit, because that sometimes can happen if the packets sort of pick up and the connections re-established quite quickly. It doesn't happen, so we can now sort of follow Favoras through. I want to sort of use Favoras to my advantage, try and save fuel where I can, and try and overtake the Nissan in the fuel stage, because obviously the Nissan is a very powerful car. It's very fast on the straights. as we continue on lap number 4. So just coming into here, you can see I'm fuel saving. Just coming into here, I outbrake myself completely here. So I went to the first cones, the turn-in cones, as my braking point. And in most cars, that's not the right place. Obviously, in one of my recent bot tests with the attender, that is the right place. In the RCZ, it's certainly not. It's in between the cones. So a big mistake there. As I said, I was frustrated, and the frustration was getting worse. Obviously, when you make a mistake, you then get a bit more frustrated and more frustrated and more frustrated. And one thing I will say is, if you ever go into a race frustrated, or if you ever finish one race frustrated, say you do Nations Cup and you get frustrated in that for whatever reason, either don't do the next race or give yourself an hour or two to chill out. I didn't give myself that time. I literally jumped straight into this, was really frustrated, and my concentration wasn't all there, to be honest. I wasn't 100% focused. You can see I'm losing the rear end a little bit. Manu Rodri right behind me, so I'm focusing here, trying to make sure Manu Rodri doesn't get past. I know he's going to push hard here on this little straight here because he's in the Nissan. He can put that power down. He can overtake me. I mean, I was amazed I didn't spin on the first corner, to be honest. To not spin there and come back and still be in 5th from 3rd, I was actually fairly happy with that. But we continue driving. Manu Rodri not catching me up too much up to Spoon there, potentially saving fuel as we continue on and get to the second part of Spoon. You just see him on the radar there, getting closer as we exit there. Now we head up towards the 130R. Obviously, he's going to have a lot of pace at this point. Nissan really pushing through that air really quick, much quicker than the RCZ, to be honest. You can see that gap really shrinking down. Watch this. Oh, look at that driving. Manu Rodri, well played. I just love the fact that I can race with guys like Manu Rodri and literally side by side in the 130R. So close, so clean. Just what racing? Do you want anything better than that? That's pure clean racing and pure good fun. So, you know, well played Manu Rodri for that move. Brilliant move. I was hoping to give up a bit earlier, but I didn't, and we sort of stayed side by side, so you know, we had a bit of good fun there. You just see I got to fuel map 2, so I mentioned this in the previous video. It's a good tip here in sort of the S's. It's better to drop the fuel map. You're constantly on the throttle. Why accelerate a lot to then brake a lot? So as you see with that, on fuel side, there's only one person who's ahead of me in fuel who was way behind me, so I've actually saved a lot of fuel here. I've come into the pits in 6th position. And where are we going to leave? Now, I slightly underfill here as well, and I didn't mean to do that. So as we leave the pits, we actually come out in 4th place. We jumped 2 positions, we jumped Jamie, and we could have gone that extra little bit with the fuel as well. I accidentally pressed X just a tiny bit too soon, which has cost me a little bit. And we really jumped Manu Rodri. As I say, the Nissan, while it's a beast, uses a lot of fuel as well. So we advanced to lap number 9. At this point, Jamie's been putting a lot of pressure on me. I've not had the slipstream to really benefit from fuel saving as well. And I've not been concentrating on my fuel, and I really should have been. So you can see Jamie goes to the left-hand side, coming to the first corner. Again, look at that, side by side. Jamie just lets off a little bit. I give him space on the outside. Again, clean, good racing. Exactly what we want. So I'm up to fuel map 3. Into the S's we go. Again, I'm just trying to fuel save. It's just natural. I automatically go to fuel map 3 here. Potentially I can go even higher if required as we come through here. And through there we go. So see, we're only 4 attempts off my best lap, so it doesn't cost you a lot of time, but it can gain you a lot of fuel. So 2.4 laps, I really should have noticed that in the fuel, but I didn't spot it. As I say, I was just trying to quickly switch because Jamie was putting a lot of pressure on. Normally, if I wasn't as frustrated and I was concentrating 100%, I would have noticed that. I didn't in this situation as we continue racing. So again, 4 attempts down there. I've actually gained a tiny bit, a few hundredths in there as we head towards the hairpin now. Through there we go. Jamie staying very close as we accelerate out. So 0.36 there, 0.35. He's not getting a huge amount, which tells me he's fuel saving a little bit as we continue on. As you can see, I've just gone to the wrong place on the map, so I'm going to have to really quickly shift this back to see if Jamie makes the move. Try and do it, but I just run too wide. Get on the green stuff. Spin the car. Absolutely spin the car. Now I do something really stupid. So I just come on the track and the rear loses itself. So fortunately I go invisible. So apologies to Slent, and you will see I apologise at the end as well. That's a bad move by me. I show you the good parts of my driving. I show you the bad parts. This is a really bad part, but I wanted to bring you the highlights of the Manufacturers Cup. Actually, we go to the last lap. 0.8 litres, 0.8 laps of fuel left. We've got 1 lap to go, so we've got to gain 0.2 somehow. So we're going to be short shifting a lot this lap, and yeah, we're going to keep on fuel map 3 for a little while. Actually, we've not lost too much to Slent, even though we did have that spin. Oh, honestly, that was so frustrating. So down to 8th. At this point, I was happy with 8th. Indie Food was catching up to me quite a lot, so I was worried about Indie Food overtaking me. So I was trying to push on a little bit. So you see I dropped to fuel map 2. Again, that's just to try and hopefully stay away from Indie Food, but you can see he's in the 1 second window now in a BMW M6, which of course is a very good car. Through there we go, and we continue on past Tidgney 2. Actually, we're in sort of Slent slipstream still here, so it's a bit helpful to us as we get to the hairpin. But again, I don't know how much fuel I've got left really in the grand scheme of it, because there ain't a lot left. 0.5 laps of fuel to go. So we continue on out of there, and now we're really worried for Indie Food. Really worried. You can just see him coming. I really should have defended that a little bit more and stayed to the left. I didn't, which again, a bit more bad driving from me. Don't hit Indie Food in the rear there, so you know, bad driving goes into good again. I can race somebody extremely close if required. If you out of there, Indie Food is losing the rear end a little bit. Indie Food really should start accelerating away from me here. He's in the BMW M6. It's a very quick car. But I actually started catching him up, which tells me here he's fuel saving. So I want to get really close. And I was thinking about making a move at the chicane if we could get closer. Fortunately, I run slightly wide at 130. Oh, just getting the green stuff. Oh, no, spin again. Spin again. Honestly, don't race when frustrated or not concentrating properly. It's a big issue. That rejoin of the track is a little less bad because obviously there's a yellow flag up already. Cars should be aware there's a spinning car and where it should be, so everyone can move to the right and then come across. I'm not blocking the racing line. As you can see, I've probably gone to fuel map 1 on this a bit earlier on, and maybe potentially gained kept that position from Indie Food. 12th. You see the frustration there on the wheel. Just frustrated with that. 12th position. I should have been 3rd, to be honest, which would have been 2,600 points, but instead we're getting 1,200 points. 1,200. So yeah, I mentioned about the blue screen there up at the top because that's what actually happened in the Nations Cup. But then I said sorry to Slent as well because it was a bit dangerous coming back on there. It's a dangerous corner to come back on anyway, but apologies to Slent. So we've got to Interlagos now. Now we need a good result here because we want to get top of Peugeot, of course. We at least want to show Peugeot's face in the manufacturer standings. So we're in the Interlagos. You might notice actually there's no cones. So I don't have to use cones. I use cones on certain tracks because most of them don't go flying and they are actually helpful. So Maggie, yours is a really good track to use cones on. While yes, some go flying, some of them are so helpful that it is worth keeping them on. So we're currently on pole. We see Popsu in there as well, so hello to Popsu, because obviously we've not raced Popsu really on GT Sport. Obviously we know Popsu from Project Cars 2. You can see there's quite a battle going on for this pole lap. We've got quite a distance with a 1:31.4, which is a really good lap. I had some slipstream on that lap on the last sector as well, which did help me massively as we continue on. And we've got Nun Andrade in front of me, and I was worried I was going to catch him up here, really catch him up in the corners, because the RCZ strength at Interlagos is the midsection. In fact, on the BOP test, I'm expecting this to be the fastest Sector 2 car that we've got on the BOP test. As you can see, we're just catching up in the wrong time. We're having to let off quite a lot here now because he's right in front of us. But in the grand scheme of it, I'm actually happy that he's still there because he can give us slipstream all the way up the hill, because that's where the RCZ struggles still, is with its speed. So look at this now. What you're going to actually see in front of you is Pumpku grab pole position actually with no slipstream. He's done a bloody good lap as Pumpku. So as he heads towards the line, you can see that he'll get pole. Watch this. 2,000. Look at my reaction. I actually don't believe I stole pole position of Pumpku. So apologies Pumpku, but yeah, that was mine. I actually stole it using your teammate from Portugal. But there we go. GTA Tidgney in the Peugeot in pole position. McLaren 6 there in the Corvette. Keep Tom in the Aston Martin. GTA Matthews chosen the Aston as well. There's Beloff. So obviously names you recognise. Popsu's done really well there, 6th place. This is the top lobby. By the way, this is a 10 PM slot as well in Europe. 10 PM UK time, so 11 PM Central Eastern time on their summer time. But even so, yeah, there's quite a decent lobby really for that kind of time. You don't normally expect the last slot to have a good lobby. Mazda Tenza, we've just done the bot test for that, of course. There's Cobra. I'm used to seeing Cobra in a Lamborghini. if I didn't pick Peugeot, Lamborghini is my next choice, and I don't think anybody's picked Lamborghini, weirdly. There's XQ as well, decent guy, and there's Doffra. We've obviously raced Doffra way back in Project Cars 1. So let's get ready for another highlight race, this time at Interlagos in the Group 3 cars, as we begin the race. So here we go, start of Interlagos. Obviously with the Citroen, we know it's a bloody quick car from the BOP test. We're mainly worried here about straights. If we can keep Pumpubku behind on the straights, we've annihilated them in the corners. We can absolutely annihilate Sector 2. So that's my goal all this time, is to stay ahead of Pumpubku in this part of the section, so Sector 1 of the lap, and then in Sector 2 I can walk away with it and then hopefully build up enough of a gap in Sector 2 that I've got enough slipstream gap, or at least enough of a gap to then keep first position again when I get right back to this point, to then continue doing this for the 15 laps. So obviously we're going to pit on lap number 8. I'm not struggling with my maths anymore. And actually I got to fuel map 3 again. Now obviously you know the reason why. Obviously the RCZ's bloody brilliant at this point of the track. Again, it's similar to the S's at Suzuka. You can fuel save a lot by just letting the car roll, accelerating, you're balancing the throttle, you brake less, you save fuel. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to save fuel. Now the one thing I have noticed with Interlagos is it appears to me the Peugeot has been nerfed on its fuel slightly. Now I'm going to check this, but if it has, I don't know why, because it really needed that to be competitive. But even so, we do fuel save, and we fuel save like a madman throughout this where we can. So obviously our gap there is half a second. So this is my test. This is my ultimate test. Can Pumpubku overtake me on this straight with a half-second gap? You can see he's catching. You can see he's catching all the time. It's now down to 4 temps. You can see that gap really starting to shrink. Down to 3 temps. Down into the 2 temps. We just do it. So we know half a second is enough, which is brilliant. We can do this race all day now. That's absolutely fine by me. Let's continue on racing. So we're going to advance a little bit further on in the race. Here we go. So the end of lap 2 where we just started. This time the gap is much smaller, as you see. It's already under 3 temps. So Pumpubku is going to start coming at me. I go to the left to show my defensive line. Pumpubku goes to the right. We begin the braking and into the turn we go. So look at the TV camera. Pumpubku just loses the rear end a little bit, and now it's going to have McLaren 6 all over his trumpet. Which is brilliant for me, because when they fight, I can pull away. So I want them to fight all the same. Just please fight away. Let me pull away as we continue on towards this corner. Watch this for a merge. Look at that for a merge. Oh, we go to lap number 6. McLaren 6 has overtaken Pumpubku. So is Kubiton. So is Beloff. Pumpubku was actually struggling with his rear tyres in that car. So to be wary if you're driving the Citroen. As you can see, I've gone to fuel map 3 again. McLaren right behind me. McLaren could have overtaken me on the previous straight actually, but it waited until the end of this section to really have a go at me, which is smart. It's really smart. So he's just picking where the Corvette is strong versus where the RCZ is strong. There's no point fighting me in this section because I am quicker in this section. The RCZ is a bloody fast car. As you see, I've just gone to fuel map 2 rather than fuel map 1. You have to dart that down really quickly and get back to the radar as we continue through here. Accelerate out. A lot of cars struggle there, as we've seen in the BOP test. RCZ, no real trouble. So we accelerate out of here. Now the RCZ does struggle out of there. As you can see, McLaren right on my trumpet now. And I was thinking, well, okay, if it's not fuel saving, then go for it. Which is what I'm going to do here. So I sort of try and stay in the middle to give him an idea that I can go left, but he then decides to go on the outside. So I think, okay, fair enough, go on the outside. And I'm going to let off now. I'm going to let off. Let him go. I want slipstream. I want to save as much fuel as I can. I'm going to jump you in the pits. You're in an American car. I can jump you in the pits. That's fine. You go for it. And I know I can keep up in Sector 2, which means then in Sector 3, the last sector, I get a slipstream up the hill. Well, that's what I hoped. Anyway, as we come towards the end of lap 8, we're going to go in the pits, of course. As you see, our fuel is 22%. It goes down to 21. McLaren's is 24. I'm thinking, what the hell is in that Corvette? How the hell's the Corvette saved more fuel than me and managed to like overtake me on the straight as if I was standing still? So yes, I was a bit confused at this point. At that point, I already knew I wasn't going to win the race because McLaren has the superior fuel and superior speed at this track. So we're going to focus on second place. That was our aim in this race. We've got all sorts happening. So I think Beloff accidentally put in 1 lap less of fuel than he needed. That's a bit unfortunate. So I think Beloff has jumped quite a lot of people in the pits. As we leave the pits, so you can see there, you know, we gained a tiny bit on McLaren, but nothing major. Cuba Tom, yeah, so Beloff did jump quite a few people in there. Cuba Tom overtakes Beloff, and he's been catching me about 2 tenths a lap, I'd say. So I am still fuel saving just in case I need to use extra fuel at the end. Obviously that fuel judgment is based on the calculation that they do. However, as you see by the gap suddenly, Cuba Tom has made a massive mistake on the exit of that corner, and suddenly I don't need to fuel save anymore. But I do it anyway just for repetition's sake, so I know if I ever race here again in the RCZ Group 3, which I will be, I can do this again and I should be happy days. I know at this point Beloff is not going to fight too much with Marcello or Marcella, so I advanced to lap 15, as you may have noticed or may not have noticed. We've continued to extend that gap. I stayed in fuel map 1, and we're just going to get to the end of the race. And McLaren's going to win this, so fair play to McLaren 6 there. Brilliant race, no mistakes, although he did nearly lose it on lap 1. He then just overtook everybody and got the victory, so fair play. Second place, I'm actually very happy with that. I need second places throughout Season 3 in this Peugeot to try and get it to the World Finals. Now, my goal in Manufacturers Cup is to get Peugeot to the World Finals. In fact, that's my bigger goal overall, is to get Peugeot to the World Finals, because I think it'd be not necessarily hilarious, but I think it'd be a big achievement to get them there. There's not many fast drivers in there, and Peugeot is a weak manufacturer at the moment. So I'm showing you the points here, 3,700. I think we should have come third at Suzuka without the stupid mistakes, which actually would have given us 1,400 more points, which actually puts us at 5,100, which is around this area. So 8th, 7th, potentially 6th. I think we need 5th overall in manufacturers to qualify for the World Finals, to try and guarantee that. So what I did then is when all the manufacturers was finished, I put this together. So at the moment, this shows you if it was based on Season 1 results. I know there's a lot that can change. We've got top 24 superstar races, everything like that. This is what would happen if Season 1 was just the one that decided who goes to the World Finals. So obviously Nissan came top. Your 16 manufacturers on the left are the ones going through. Bit iffy with Mazda and Jaguar because they're on the same points. Not quite sure how they'd work that one out. I assume it's the one with the highest points in one of the seasons. So potentially that would be Jaguar, actually, not Mazda. I don't know the answer to that question, which is why they're just ordered the way they are. Peugeot, unfortunately, second bottom. I actually think we'd be much further up, as I say. So if we look where 5,000 points is, that's 27 points rather than 7. We add 20 to our score. That puts us at 33. That's bang on where Mazda and Jaguar are. So we can do it. It's going to be hard. Now, we seem to have a few aliens in Asia, or the Asia Pacific region, that are taking Peugeot. So fair play, you guys who are over there. There's a fair few A+ guys there. It wasn't a dominant, wasn't a good season for Peugeot in terms of track choice. So hopefully we can get a Brands Hatch in there or something like that. Interlagos was good though, but Group 4 horrible. Ooh. The horrible Group 4 track. One of them we were 2 seconds a lap slower per lap, which is crazy. But in the this is my request now. In the American region, we're struggling, and we're struggling bad. If you notice, we're half the points of the second least team. So I will bribe any US or any America region, so South America, North America, Canada, who are eligible to qualify. I will bribe you. If you are fast, please jump in the Peugeot, and if you've not signed already, I will bribe you, because if we can get somebody quick in Peugeot in the American region, so I'd say North, South America, we potentially could get to the World Finals. So if you are fast and from that region and not got a manufacturer, sign for Peugeot, please. That's all I request. I hope you enjoyed that interesting video. Bit of a long one, but multiple highlights. As I say, some of the exciting races will have their own highlight reel, and then I'll put them together into more quick highlights. But that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. There's a video playlist there if you want to watch another one. My logo's there if you want to subscribe. But that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.